Hey everyone, I'm Landon with LMR.com. This time around, on our What Is series of videos, I'll be talking specifically about one of my favorite Fox Body Mustangs, and that is the 1993 Cobra. With the Fox Body Mustang nearing discontinuation, Ford and their newly found SVT division wanted to say farewell to an incredible 15-year run of the Fox Mustang. They did so by developing the iconic 1993 Cobra. For those of you that were unaware, 1993 was also the debut year for Ford's SVT division, and that acronym stood for Special Vehicle Team. This team was a special group of engineering and marketing personnel that were responsible for designing, developing, and marketing limited edition high-performance vehicles for enthusiasts based off of existing Ford models. SVT's focus and philosophy was on design refinement, all while improving vehicle performance and handling. Now, out of all the areas on the car, the exterior is what makes the Cobra stand out from other Fox Mustang models. The 93 Cobra was built with the hatchback body, and its notable characteristics include a Cobra rear bumper, side skirts, rear spoiler, emblems, SVO-style taillights, and a special grille insert. Not to mention the one-of-a-kind directional wheels, which meant that there was a left and a right side wheel because of the orientation of the 7-spoke fan blade style design. The 4-lug Cobra wheels were 17 by 7.5 inches and had specific offsets compared to other Fox wheels because of the rear brakes that widen the overall track width of the car. From the factory, the 93 Cobra rolled out on Goodyear rubber. The interior in the 1993 Cobra was very run-of-the-mill Fox body. The only thing separating it from LX or GT models were Cobra-specific floor mats. The two color options for the upholstery were either black or opal gray. Standard equipment was cloth seats that were available in either the black or opal gray, and a leather seat option that can only be had in the opal gray color. Like other areas on the 93 Cobra, the engine wasn't all that different than the regular pushrod 5-liter. What made the Cobra engine unique was its GT40 cylinder heads, GT40 intake manifolds, and a revised camshaft. The GT40 heads featured 1.84-inch intake valves and 1.54-inch exhaust valves. Accentuating each valve were a set of Crane 1.7 ratio roller rockers that had a pedestal mount design. Feeding air into the engine were the GT40 upper and lower intake manifolds. They received fresh air from a larger 70mm mass air meter versus the 55mm that was present on non-Cobra 5.0s. Along with the larger mass air meter was a larger throttle body at 65mm versus the 60mm on standard Fox Body 302s. The 93 Cobra also received 24-pound fuel injectors and a recalibrated EEC, which would support the larger injector. Other small tidbits included retuned mufflers that offered less restriction and different diameter crank and water pump pulleys. During development, SVT undersized the crank pulley by 14% to achieve more power, but the drawback was a slower spinning water pump. To counteract the slowdown in coolant circulation, they made the water pump pulley 14% smaller as well. As far as power output goes, the Cobra-specific 5.0 engine was rated at 235 horsepower and 280 foot-pounds of torque at the flywheel. Now, behind the Cobra-specific 5.0 was a quote-unquote world-class Borg-Warner T5 5-speed manual transmission, which was just a touch stronger than the standard issue T5. The world-class transmission featured phosphate-coated cluster gears and a steel bearing retainer. The 93 Cobra was only available with a manual transmission. Joining the world-class T5 was an upgraded clutch that provided more clamping force, all while reducing clutch slip and pedal effort. Along with that, gear selection was nice and easy thanks to a short throw shifter. Another small area of improvement was the front drive shaft yoke. It was hardened, but it served as useless since the regular yoke in the non-Cobra models had already held up to plenty of power throughout the years. The 93 Cobra did utilize an 8.8-inch rear end, which was loaded with a traction lock differential and a 308 gear ratio. Since the Cobra utilized a similar rear disc brake setup as the 1987 and 1988 Thunderbird Turbo Coupes, the axles were 3/4 of an inch longer, hence the specific offset wheels mentioned earlier. The suspension underneath the 93 Cobra was Fox body through and through, with the exception of just a few minor tweaks. It did have a smaller front sway bar than the GT models, which was 28.5mm versus 33mm, but the Cobra did share the same rear sway bar size, which was 21mm in diameter. Springs with softer rates were used in order to accomplish a more modest ride, if you must, when compared to the GT model. The front spring rate on the Cobra was 425 pounds per inch versus 530 for a GT, and linear 4-cylinder rear springs rated at 160 pounds per inch. The shocks and struts were valved by Tokiko, but they did carry a Ford-specific part number. As far as the braking system on a 93 Cobra goes, there is definitely some unique stuff. The front brakes are almost identical to the regular 5.0 except for the front rotors. The rotor hat was 3/4 of an inch thicker to accommodate the rear disc setup and the specific wheel offsets. Each front rotor was 10.84 inches in diameter, and the caliper used a single 60mm piston. Out back, the brake setup was the same one that was used in the 1987 and 1988 Thunderbird Turbo Coupe. As mentioned previously, the axles were 3/4 of an inch longer on each side, and the rotor diameter was 10.07 inches. The rear calipers were a single piston design as well. Because of the rear disc setup, 93 Cobra specific parking brake cables had to be used as well. Other braking system specifics on the 93 Cobra was a larger brake booster and a 2-port master cylinder versus the 3-port version found on the regular 5.0s. SVT engineers also had to recalibrate the proportioning valve since the rear disc brake setup used more pressure than brake drums. The 93 Cobra did have a few options to choose from, which included leather upholstery, rear window defroster, a sunroof which would flip up, a 4-way power driver seat, AM/FM stereo with CD player, and a super sound system. Although the sound system was listed in the sales brochure, it was never installed on any production vehicles sold to the public. According to Car and Driver, the 93 Cobra could reach 60 miles an hour in just 5.6 seconds, and this bad boy could trap the quarter mile in 14.3 seconds at 98 miles per hour. The 1-year-only Cobra was only available in black, teal, and vibrant red, which was seen with clear coat and without. Non-clear coated vibrant red Cobras, they're pretty rare. Of the 4,993 Cobras that were built, 1,854 were black, 1,784 were red, and 1,355 were teal. Technically, there were 5,100 total 1993 Cobras built, but 107 of those were equipped with the R competition option and wore vibrant red paint. According to online data, the rarest Cobra was teal and had black cloth interior. Ford only produced 185 cars with that combo. Seemingly enough, it appeared that Ford dealt their final Fox body hand and saved the best Fox Mustang for last. The 93 Cobra was the beginning of a new performance era for Ford and their special vehicle team. This particular car here is a really good example of a clean, low-mile Cobra with only 70,000 miles. It happens to be owned by our CEO, Scott Springer, who has actually owned several 93 Cobras in his day, and at the time had the Cobra Trifecta, which was a 1993 Cobra in all 3 colors. Not to mention, that's one of the many reasons why we coined our tagline, The Real Enthusiasts. To see more videos like this one, including product reviews and install videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like and share this video, and don't forget to turn on notifications. That way you're notified every time we release new content. Of course, for all things 1979 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning, keep it right here with The Real Enthusiasts, LMR.com.